Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of the Bright Side of Beauty podcast presented by Beyond Skin Aesthetics. This episode's pretty fun because it's just me. No Katie, no guest. It's just me and my thoughts. And today we're going to be talking about Aesthetic Next because I just got back from Aesthetic Next with Katie. We landed, so on the time of this recording, we landed a little over 24 hours ago and we are exhausted. And we have lots of thoughts, and we were up to a lot. We were gone for almost an entire week. It was my first week away from Easton, which was a big deal. He was with my parents. They went to Gatlinburg, had a great time. That definitely helped that I knew that he was having fun, they were having fun, and I was distracted. Didn't really have very much time to focus on the fact that I was away from him for too long, really until I was done with speaking, which you will hear the chaos of our week in the process. But today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we spoke on. One, we're going to talk about why Aesthetic Next is the Super Bowl of events and aesthetics, in my opinion. At least it's my Super Bowl, and how I really milk the most out of it. What you can do to get the most out of events when you go to events, because I feel like a lot of people have that question, and I was asked that a lot in the past week. Let's see, what else we're going to talk about. I had a lot of questions about social media and how I had time to do everything. So we're going to talk about that because I definitely have some good tips on that side. And then I got asked what kind of resources are out there for how to do the things that I do. And so we're going to wrap it up talking about that. And we're going to see where this episode takes us because, like I said, I got lots of thoughts. I have lots of opinions that I've been bottling up. Okay, so Katie and I flew out last Tuesday, and we were originally flying in because I was going to be a guest on a podcast. That fell through. Also, guys, I feel like I should note, my voice sounds so hoarse because I've basically been talking for a week straight. I have my security blanket tea here, and I might just hold it and sip on it this entire time. I'm not sick. This is legitimately just I've been talking so much, and I thought, yeah, let's go record a podcast and talk some more. That just seemed valid. But anyways, so we left last Tuesday. I was originally going to be a guest on another podcast, and that didn't end up happening. So I reached out to some of my friends over at the Limited Agency. They are going to be guests on the pod next month. I think it'll go live in November. Super excited for you guys to get to know them a little bit better too. But hung out with Lauren Taylor and Isabella. We went to Restoration Hardware and had a strategizing meeting because they actually did a social media takeover for BSA last week and helped me out with all the things that I would normally do when we go to events because my schedule was so jam-packed. There was barely daylight. I want to say that the only time I ended up having, I thought it was going to be lunch on Thursday, and that even filled up. So it ended up being lunch on Friday that I had for free. But every other second, I had to be somewhere. I was meeting with someone. We were doing something. We were on stage. It was crazy. So met up with the girls when we first landed in Dallas on Tuesday, and we went over what our game plan was, what content we wanted to get, and just kind of reset. Had a little girl yap sesh so that we felt nice and refreshed and energized going into the weekend because it was basically a 8 a.m. hair makeup done start time all the way until 11 p.m. every single day that we were gone. It was nuts and the best of the best things. So started off there. Then Tuesday afternoon, we met up with some of the other No Better Skin pros with Colorescience, which was super fun. Everybody was starting to get in town because we had Wear What Works on Wednesday. And Wear What Works on Wednesday is a Colorescience event. So they do, I made that sound like it was called Wear What Works on Wednesday. All the W's. It's Wear What Works put on by Colorescience. It just happened to be on a Wednesday, but they go around all around the country, have different events. The one in Dallas was actually their last one of the year. It was lucky number 13. So I was calling it the Taylor Swift Eras Tour of the Wear What Works. We definitely went out with a bang. It was huge. The room was absolutely full. there were the most No Better Skin pros there, and they did something really cool with Wear What Works this year. So last year, there was what they called a pro panel where they had their No Better Skin pros come up and people could ask questions about either how you implement the products into practice or different modalities inside of the practice. So it didn't necessarily have to be a color science question as much as it was just picking the brain of their pros that they had on their panels. This year, they actually had us put together some case studies using their products and different modalities. And that was really cool to see from all the different pros. So we had 5 different pros that were on this panel, and all of us did completely different case studies. They didn't give us stipulations or directions. They kind of said, take it and run with it. We're just asking you to submit a case study and present it at the event. So I thought that was really cool that we each had something that was so unique because their product line is very unique, but our passions tend to have a lot of overlap. So it was really cool that it was such a unique experience. The other thing that they did different this year, and I hope that they bring it back next year, is in years past, it was a seminar where you were pretty much sitting at the table with your group. And if there was something that was interactive, it was more of with the table that you were sitting at. This year, they changed a little bit and you actually had learning labs where you got up, you moved around, you got to get your hands dirty a little bit. They had one demonstration that was so cool. The powdered brush is actually waterproof. And so they were able to show the science behind the brush and the fact that you can put it into water, mix it up, stick your finger in, and your finger is still dry when you pull your finger back out because of the iron oxides in the mineral coating. As you stick your finger down in the water, it is the coolest thing. So I'm going to have to link up after this goes live. I'll link this and put it in my highlight on my Instagram. But that was a really cool demonstration. We also went through the treatment products that they have, the technology behind there, and then they were launching a brand new product last week. I was so excited about this product launch. It is basically a vitamin D supplement in a bottle, which is confusing to say because it's actually not vitamin D that's in the bottle. It is a pre-pro postbiotic microbiome spray that helps to basically synthesize vitamin D in your skin. And vitamin D is so important in your skin. I don't want to get too sidetracked because I could talk about it for 10 minutes straight, but this product launch was huge. The product to partners launched on Tuesday, and then we were able to really go into the science on Wednesday at Wear What Works, which was super, super cool, and to be with everybody, and everybody got one of the products for free from the event too. So we each got to leave with a Barrier Pro Serum spray, and it is just fantastic. This is also available now on our online store too. So if you want to check it out, you can read more about it. I have it on my socials. We have it on BSA socials, and you can also go ahead and order it too. We should actually have it in office by the time that this goes live. Our delivery is supposed to be coming any minute now. So that was Wednesday. And then Thursday, so after the event on Wednesday, we had to do a hotel switch. So we actually stayed at the hotel that Wear What Works was at on Wednesday. And then we moved hotels Wednesday night to the hotel that Aesthetic Next is at. And you hear me hype up Aesthetic Next every single year. I just absolutely adore the team. I adore the conference, the value that the conference brings, just all the things. It's so much fun. It's kind of the industry's excuse to dress up and be cute and learn a lot and network. And it really sets the entire year trajectory. It's just so innovative, and the brightest minds are there. It's amazing. So we got to that hotel Wednesday night, got all prepared because Thursday morning it was bright and early. We were up and at 'em, and it was a day. So Thursday's schedule, I spoke on the new SD meetup panel, which was really cool. So there were 3 other professionals in our industry from completely different places. So Kinsey's from New Hampshire, Roxy is from Texas, and then Brandy is in Missouri. She's near the Ozarks. So it was the 4 of us on the panel, and we just dove into anything and everything that you may need as you're getting started in your aesthetics career from an esthetician point of view. So this was very esthetician focused, but it was really cool. We decided not to use microphones as we were on the stage. So the room was honestly pretty deep. There were probably 40 to 50 people that were in the room, but the way that the tables were stacked, it was intimate enough that we decided not to use microphones. And I feel like that really helped with the vibe. That made it a lot more engaging, where we were able to just talk to everybody that was in the audience. They were able to ask questions back. The dialogue was free flowing. And I loved that. We thought that it was going to be about an hour of panel discussions where we were answering some questions that people had submitted, while also throwing in some other ideas that we may have like in the moment, and then getting live audience questions at the exact same time. And then it was going to be about 30 minutes of networking and connecting and taking pictures with everyone in the audience. And we ended up going until they kicked us off the stage. So it was a full hour and a half of conversation between the panelists and the audience. And as we left, honestly, I feel like we could have gone for an hour and a half longer. It was so, so good. There was so much value from it. At one point, we even FaceTimed Kim Poor in with Easton. We needed a statistic, and we knew that Kim Poor would have it. So we FaceTimed her, and she's our numbers gal at Beyond Skin. So she even became part of the panel. We had Katie answer some questions. Some of Roxy's team was there. So we had Hunter answering some questions too. It was awesome. So that was event number 1. And I feel like that was a great starting place because it was such an open dialogue with the audience that it didn't necessarily feel like presenting in a session as much as it was just having a large conversation with 50 of your closest friends. It was so fun. So we started off with that. And then after that, I had an idea for this panel. I think it was around November, December of last year. Something that I've noticed in the aesthetics industry is that there's this picture perfect painting of what you should look like when you work in aesthetics. And that is whether it's on social media, whether that's in real life at events and things, but there seems to be this air of this is how I'm supposed to present myself. And so I had this idea for a panel with some of my friends to talk about authenticity on social media and how to leverage that for your patient base, for, potential clients, for revenue, of course, because at the end of the day, we are a business, but really how to connect with your people by showing up authentically. And I think that this panel was just, honestly, I could say every one of the sessions was the best one. This one I feel like was so strong though. I got some amazing feedback from people that were in the session. So 2 of my friends, Mary Robb from Social Practice, that was on the podcast earlier this season, as well as Jared Rohr, who actually does our SEO. He is the founder of Aesthetic Conversion. They do website management and SEO. They actually do our Google ads as well. And so both of them were on our panel. And it was kind of just friends hanging out and talking about socials. We are all such bold personalities in completely different ways. But we're friends. So it made it very interesting to be able to just get up there and talk about it. We all have completely different takes on what it means to show up authentically on social media. And I know Jared and I's real goal with it was also to leave the audience with very tangible tips of, okay, this is how you can go home and immediately start implementing this, or this is how you can start doing it right this second while we're at the event. These are tools that you can use. And so one of the things that we were asked is we had a solo injector that was in the room, and she actually works for 2 different practices. She basically rents out a room, but she has branding from 2 different practices, and then she has her own branding. And so she was asking, how do you make that flow where it feels right? Of course, you would have to check with the different practices on if they're okay with their branding kind of trickling through there. And then, of course, hers. And I used myself as an example with my social media because I, of course, have the Bright Side of Beauty, which is bright pink and blues and all of these really bold, very Floridian meets Ohio type vibes. And then Beyond Skin's vibes are much more of like that deep plum, those like dusty blues, neutrals kind of pulled together. So I use myself as an example of how I do it on social media, where if my content is on BSA's feed or vice versa, it looks like it fits in. And how to make a Canva document that has all those brand colors and has all those assets so that when you jump on Instagram, it's really fast for you to do to make that very cohesive, where your stories can be cohesive with your feed and your reels, and it's not a time waster. That was another thing that we got a lot of questions about before as well as during our panel. Was the biggest hang up that people had was time and how to execute their social media where it wasn't, pre-batching your socials for months at a time because you set aside time and you have to do it that way. But how do you have lifetime things like your stories or like trending reels pop up and get those executed while, you have a full patient day and you want to be spending time with your kids when you get home or your spouse or whatever it may be. But, we all live very busy lives and social media should not be our top priority. But at this point in business, it kind of has to be a priority of some sort. So we talked about tangible tips on how to do that as well. So that was on Thursday. And then Friday, bright and early, my session was the very first session of the morning. I thought no one was going to show up, have to admit. And I was pleasantly surprised when there were so many people in the room. My session, I was doing a live demo. It was titled Blending Expertise, live rosacea demo with devices. With conferences, one thing that is to consider is when it is an educational opportunity for CME credits for medical professionals and estheticians alike to take home those CME credits towards their licensing renewals. You can't necessarily always use device names or product line names, or, you have to keep it very educational, medical terminology. There are a lot of stipulations on the vocabulary that you can use. And that was quite interesting because I was using a device and I was using a specific protocol that I had developed from Colorescience. So, and now because I'm not on a CME recording, I can tell you exactly what I used. But I was using the Glacial Skin RX device and talking about cold therapy as well as exosomes and plated exosomes, how I use those in the treatment room. And then I developed a Colorescience protocol with their All Calm Serum as well as their Barrier Pro duo. And now actually, I feel like, this is a question for my Colorescience team. If you hear this, are we calling it the Barrier Pro Trio now? Because now we have Barrier Pro One-Step Cleanser. We have Barrier Pro Essential Moisturizer, which was the original duo. And then we now have Barrier Pro Serum Spray. So it must be the Barrier Pro Trio. I kind of like this. I like things being in threes. So I just realized that. But I was using the Barrier Pro Trio along with All Calm Serum and then doing the finishing touch protocol from Colorescience, which is utilizing several of their different SPF lineup and leaving your patient feeling like they're ready for their day. There's absolutely no downtime. It conceals any sort of redness that may be induced from the treatment while leaving them feeling like they're leaving with makeup on their face, even though it is treatment safe. It's a mineral SPF. It's protecting their skin. It's protecting their investment from their treatment. It's all the good stuff. So we went through all of that. No titles included. It was kind of funny because if you go back and you watch the recording, which is available if you were at Aesthetic Next, and I believe that you can also buy a digital pass if you want to see the recordings of these different sessions. But I had the Glacial Skin device behind me. I had a Glacial Skin towel, Glacial Skin headband. So the brand was everywhere without me having to actually say the name of it. And then I had a cart with all of my products next to me. And so all the Colorescience products were in a line, plus like my one plated exosome at the front to be able to use. So that was really, really cool. I also found out day of, it was streamed in 16 different countries on top of the live event because it was an online streamed educational opportunity. So that was really cool to find out. And it went swimmingly. I feel like sometimes you guys know how I ramble. I've already been rambling on here. The Delaney dialogue just gets going. And when I am in the middle of a treatment, because I'm so used to getting in the zone in my treatment room and talking with my patient, I almost forget in demos that I'm educating and that I need to walk through what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, what I'm using and why I'm using it. But I remembered. I stayed pretty on topic, so that was good. And y'all had some great questions too. So those in the audience, you guys had some great questions, and it added to the education. And I feel like at the end of it, I left feeling very confident in that there were some tangible takeaways, that I had strengthened some of my education skills too. So all in all, it was a great thing. So that was on Friday. And then I thought that things were kind of stacked up on Friday, and they were, but I ended up in completely different meetings on Friday than I thought that I originally was. So I was catching up with some friends from the industry from all over that I don't normally get to see in real life, but we are constantly setting up Zoom calls for collaborations and things. And I've been working on a lot of collaborations between different brands and connecting devices with brands, just like I mentioned with Colorescience and the Glacial Skin Protocol. And then also working with Plated on safety testing their exosomes with cold therapy and their stability. So I was able to meet up with a lot of different brands and expand upon that as well in person, which is always nice when you're working with people all over the country. And I feel like it's just nice to see people in real life once in a while. We get so used to seeing people behind a screen that when you can connect with people IRL, it's a positive. So that was Friday. Then actually Friday night, before, almost forgot this, guys, I was nominated for Esthetician of the Year. This is my second year being nominated for Esthetician of the Year. I was not the winner this year. Fingers crossed for next year that I am nominated again and potentially could come home with a trophy. But what's really cool about this year is that I am genuinely friends with the rest of the nominees. So there were 5 of us across the country that were first nominated out of everybody in the country to be of those finalists. And then from there, the winner was selected and voted upon within our industry, and it was industry specific. So it was industry voted on first for the nominations, and then industry voted on for the winner. But I feel like because I was genuinely friends with the rest of the nominees, and they are all friends with each other as well, and we were those that didn't know each other IRL yet met in IRL. So in IRL, guys, it has been such a week. Met IRL. So it was just a really good time. And I feel like because we're all friends, whoever was going to win, it was going to be a win for all of us. And it was going to be elevating the esthetician category in general. I love that Tiffany Hall and Justin Harper and the Aesthetic Record team added in Esthetician of the Year to their award ceremony, because it is sometimes a forgotten part of the aesthetics industry. We are definitely the support that comes in and make sure that the injector's work shines and that everybody is supported. And it's kind of the base foundation. I think that it's been talked about a lot more, that you have to go in and clean the walls before you go in and paint. And that's the concept of estheticians. We're going in and we are prepping the canvas for the beautiful artwork that then is performed. So by injectors, by laser technicians, by everyone. So, and even bringing in more of the functional side of things, which I'm going to get to, it's beautiful that our category is being elevated. And I was really honored to be nominated alongside of such incredible individuals and leaders in our industry that are helping to propel estheticians into this next generation. I feel like it was more of the Next Generation of Estheticians Award. It was awesome. So that was Friday night. It's this huge award ceremony. Jared, who I was on the panel with for leveraging social media authentically, he was actually one of the performers at the award ceremony. So he was, I would call him an MC of sorts. So he and Needle Daddy on Instagram, they were both performers. So they sang, they played the guitar and the piano, and they had just created an awesome show. So that was really cool. And the food is always fantastic too. So it's just fun. You get to dress up. It's red carpet. The theme this year was Glow Around the Globe. And that is basically gemstones. So everybody was in gemstone colored gowns and suits. And it was really, really, really cool. So that was Friday. Then into Saturday. Saturday was a really busy day, guys. It was 6 hours of me talking on a mic. I had about 20 minutes in between things. And that is where this lovely voice went to hide. So woke up Sunday and that voice, it was gone. But it was a great day. So got up Saturday morning, didn't have anything Saturday morning. Everything was in the afternoon for Katie and I. But we went to sessions in the morning. There were some great sessions. Katie and I met because Katie actually made her speaking debut last Saturday. It was so fantastic. I'll get to that in a second because that was kind of mid schedule and I want to go in order. I made notes so that I wouldn't forget anything. Y'all know how I am. I just ramble. Okay, so started off the day with Glacial Skin RX live demo in the exhibit hall. I was debuting my brand new Colorescience protocol. So I told you about my rosacea protocol using the All Calm system. I also developed a protocol that's called Pep Up to Cool Down, and that is utilizing the Barrier Pro Trio now that we have identified the fact that it is now indeed a trio with the spray. So utilizing that trio along with Pep Up Serum from Colorescience, it is extremely peptide rich. It is helping to build collagen and elastin. It's helping to protect the skin. It's helping with just the vitality and the health of the skin. And that goes hand in hand with cold therapy that you're getting with Glacial Skin RX. So I developed this protocol. It launched during, it was kind of like a midday lunchtime in the exhibit hall. We recorded it, which is going to be going out. If you are a Glacial Skin partner, you're going to be able to access that resource pretty soon in their training platform, as well as the written protocol for that too. So that is coming very, very soon. But that has been, I feel like, my little secret that I've been keeping, because if you do have a Glacial Skin device, whether it is the FX or the RX, you know that their base protocol starts off with a very light chemical peel, and then you go in with a probiotic mist. And that probiotic mist, I have been swapping out with the Barrier Pro serum spray. So you're actually getting a pre, pro, and postbiotic benefit with this spray. And I actually had the Barrier Pro serum spray during the original testing of it. So Colorescience selected just a few of their partners to send the Barrier Pro serum spray out to and get photos, get clinical feedback on. And actually, when I first got the serum spray, they didn't tell me what it was. I got the spray and it was kind of a, hey, this is where you put it in your regimen and take some pictures. Let us know what you think that it does after 12 weeks. So I started using it back in, I want to say that I got it beginning of April, end of March, beginning of April. It was right after I had Easton. I was fresh on maternity leave when I got my delivery to start this trial, basically. And then after that, we got kind of a heads up of what it was and what it did. And that was at the same time as we got our Glacial Skin RX device in office. And so at that point, I knew what the mist was. I knew that it was a pre-pro postbiotic mist. So I immediately started using this mist and not really talking about it in practice with my patients. And I love it. I love it so much. So that was really kind of the heart behind creating this protocol, was my love for the Barrier Pro serum spray and swapping out some of the different steps of the Glacial Skin protocol. And I left so depending on the patient that you have in front of you, you can do a chemical peel or you can do an exosome boost. So with that protocol, I was utilizing Plated Intense in the treatment room as the quote unquote peel step, and then going in with Barrier Pro serum spray, then into Pep Up Barrier Pro essential moisturizer, and then with finishing touch protocol. So that is what I was able to launch during the live demo in the exhibit hall. So after that, Katie came and fetched me from the exhibit hall because for the fourth time in this episode I'm mentioning, we all know how I am. I go on these tangents and I get very distracted. And if somebody walks up to me and asks me a question, I'm going to have a 30-minute conversation with them. So Katie knows me better and I know me better. So when she finished up, she actually didn't come to my live demo, which is okay. I gave her permission because our friend Lauren Taylor was presenting at the exact same time in a separate session talking about basically the monetization and the numbers behind social media and marketing. So she was giving a marketing presentation at the same time. Katie went to that. As soon as she left, she came to make sure that I was going to actually leave the exhibit hall on time for us to get to our session together. And we did make it in time. It was good. I wore one outfit. So you guys know how I love my outfit changes. I love a good fashion moment. So I was wearing one outfit in the morning, and I had to wear a certain color for Katie to match her on stage, because I think that it is extremely important when you are on a stage, when you are presenting something, that you are coordinating with the other people that you're presenting with, and that you match the stage, and it is all a part of the show. And that is probably something that I picked up from working for Disney, because everything for Disney goes back to the show and having your costume and what that story that is being told looks like. So I had my outfits picked out and ready to go, because I was going to be talking with so many different people on Saturday. So I had on this beautiful navy dress, cape included. It was very Edna Mode of a moment of, well, I guess Edna Mode would say no capes, but I had a cape. It was great, with some navy knee-high cowboy boots. It was a great moment. Katie had on this beautiful blue dress. So we coordinated nice. We got to practice our session. We talked about the value of incorporating aesthetic products and procedures into your weight loss and wellness practices. And that is, if you know Katie and I, you know that is Katie's lane. Like, that is where she thrives. And at Beyond Skin, our goal is to incorporate basically an internal approach to external beauty. So when you come into practice, we are not just going to say, hey, you need this topical product and it's going to make you glow like a million moons. We are going to say, are you on a probiotic? Is it working for you? Maybe you should try a prebiotic. Are you taking glutathione because you have a lot of inflammation? Are you taking copper GHK? We're going through supplement stacks that are going to benefit your journey and helping you reach your goals so that you feel good from the inside out, because when you feel good, you look good. So that is really what Katie was able to go off on. I was her accessory during that session. I was just there to basically MC. And we went into it kind of treating it like it was a podcast episode, which was super, super fun. Luckily for us, there was a coffee break right before our session. So we were able to go into the room a little bit early, ask some of the tech guys. It was the same tech guys that I had actually been with for my previous sessions. So at that point, we were on a first name basis. We had a good relationship. And I just walked in and said, guys, can we turn all the lights off except for the spotlight? And they were like, heck yeah, let's test it out. Go get up on stage. Let's see how it looks on camera. So we were able to reset the cameras, get the lighting just right, which was great, because it felt like we were in the podcast studio and we had this just bomb lighting and it was wonderful. But also by dimming the rest of the room's lights, Katie wasn't able to see anybody in the audience. So it felt so intimate, like it was just us talking about things that we are so passionate about in practice. And because I know Katie so well, I was able to pull out that knowledge that she has. So we were covering trends. We covered using estrogen topically. We covered vitamin D. We covered glutathione topically and as a supplement. Vitamin D topically and as a supplement. We went through all the bases. We actually took a case study from our own practice. So we pulled 2 of our patients that came at a very similar time and talked through kind of their, oh my gosh, guys, I'm falling apart. Okay, sorry, friends. I had an eyelash go into my eye, so we had to pause. But we're back. So we took a case study with us, and we were going through 2 patients that started off with one came in and they only wanted to talk about medical weight loss. They didn't want to add anything on. So we talked about how Katie had the conversation with this patient of what was going to benefit them the most, but then ultimately it's their decision if they move forward with it or not. So what that looks like. And then somebody that came in at a very similar time, but took all of those recommendations, what that ROI looked like for our business, but also what the outcomes looked like for the patient and the value of having both sides, having the aesthetic sides of their treatment plan, but also having the internal side, the wellness side to things, and blending in functional medicine with their body contouring and their skin treatments and everything else. So that was really, really cool. She did phenomenally phenomenally. I was so proud of her. I feel like the first time that you speak on stage is just, you always feel like you could have done better. And I'm sure if we asked Katie, she's her own worst critic, so she would probably say that she didn't do good. But I'm here to say, along with everybody else that witnessed it or has already watched the recording, that she just killed it. Like it was so good. I've never seen somebody have their speaking debut and it be that strong. That one of our friends said, "A star is born," and that is truly how I felt. I just was so proud of her, and I was so proud to be her sidekick in that moment and get to watch, especially because on Friday, she was my sidekick. She was my first assist for my demo, so it was pretty cool for each of us to be able to kind of step in that role and just be the other one's backup and help them shine a little bit brighter in their presentations. So we were like usual, we were quite the dynamic duo. We were quite the team. So that was midday on Saturday. And then after that, I had 20 minutes, you guys. I had 20 minutes to do a full outfit change. I was working with Lauren Taylor and Isabella on what content we wanted, and we had 2 reels that we wanted to film. So I had to change my clothes, film 2 reels, and get about 10 minutes across the building to where my next panel was to meet up for the next talk. And we did it. We made it. We did a full outfit change, cowboy boots included. I switched from my navy boots to my red boots. I switched from a navy dress to, I had this beautiful cream sweater dress moment to coordinate with my other panelists. And it was quite nice. And conveniently, this panel was at the exact same time as the OSU game. Convenient. Actually, for all of those that gave me hate last week, or I guess now it would be by the time that this comes out, 2 weeks ago, when I was getting my nails done in the middle of the OSU game, guys, that is such a life hack to do. Columbus, Ohio shuts down. That is the time to go to the grocery store. That is the time to get your nails done. That is the time to do anything that you need to do, because it's going to take you half the amount of time that it usually does. So I do want to say, so it is on the record, it is now being recorded. In the middle of Katie and I's talk, we asked what the score was, and we said OH. We did not get an IO. There was nobody relatively in the room. And then we shamed the room, because if Taylor Swift can say OHIO, the rest of the room can. If Taylor Swift can do it, so can you. And that's what we told everybody, is you just missed out on a moment, because if you are not from Ohio and you don't really care, I doubt you're going to have the chance to ever say that again. So they missed their moment, but we got it. We echoed back to each other. And then I did my outfit change so that I was in my game day attire, even though I was ready to present. It was quite fabulous. And that panel was killer. It was so good. So that panel was, Jared actually was our host for that. And then my friend Victoria was on there too, which you guys have heard from her earlier in the season as well. Skin by You AZ. She was on there. We were talking about our different podcasts, and then as well as oh my gosh, what is her handle? It is the Spa Business Advisor is her Instagram handle. So she was a last minute addition. It was originally supposed to be somebody else on the panel, and she jumped in and was so amazing. And I think she had a 24-hour heads up that she was going to be on the panel with us, and she did phenomenal. And then with the Tiffany Hall as well. And that was so good. If I had any advice for anybody, it would be, if you can listen to Tiffany talk, listen to her talk. If you can go to one of her panels, you need to go to one of her panels. So if you are at Aesthetic Next, put it on your list. If you are anywhere and you are able to listen to Tiffany, she has a podcast called For the Record that I was actually a guest on last season. Go check that out. It was a wonderful episode as well. But that was our panel, and we dove into everything from how to get a podcast started, how to outsource in the right way, how to stay true to yourself, how to not listen to bad advice when it comes to what your podcast should be about, what the vibe should feel like, how to produce it, all of the things, how to get good guidance when you're doing that. Jared talked about SEO. So did Tiffany. let's see, Victoria talked about how to put it on YouTube and get it up and going well. So that was a great one too to be a part of. I was absolutely honored because this is one of my favorite things to do now is to come in here and have these discussions with you guys. So that was a really cool way to round out Aesthetic Next and my presentations. So it was a I don't know if I can say curse words on here without being explicit, so I'm not going to, but it was kick butt, you guys. It was a really good event. So Aesthetic Next as a whole, I call it the Superbowl of all things because it sets the tone for the next 365 days in the aesthetics industry. It is the gathering of the brightest minds in the industry. It has the best sessions I have seen in from an educational standpoint that cover all of the bases. So there are definitely conferences out there where you can get a little bit more pinned into the type of knowledge that you want to gain. For example, Science of Skincare Summit. That is specifically talking about the science of skincare development, the skin. It is scientific. That is like, honestly, that is an esthetician's dream place to go. I have not been in person yet. I have just heard phenomenal things and it is on my list. I will be going next year. It was the exact same weekend as Aesthetic Next this year, so I wasn't able to go. But that is one that like is very pigeonholed. AM Spa, the AM Spa boot camps, and then the medical spa show out in Vegas. That is very pinholed. It is very, I mean, you can get knowledge. They have cadaver labs. They have different panels on skincare and things, but it's very high level. You don't really leave with anything tangible as much as just like kind of scratching the surface of things. And it's very legal. So if you need legal advice, that is a wonderful place to go to set your practice up from a legal standpoint the best possible. But that is really kind of where AM Spa has their niche, in my opinion. Same thing with the boot camps. It's more the legalities of every state. Every state is so different. They keep track of all of that. They help you with your processes to make sure that you are following all of the guidelines of your state. So it's very pigeonholed. Whereas Aesthetic Next, you are getting into the nitty gritty. The sessions are giving you true education. You are earning those CMEs. I want to say that this year it was 117 or 127 CME hours that you could get leaving the event. Like, guys, that is huge. That is huge. That one event covers, I'm pretty sure that's all of everyone's. I think I'm trying to think of what the CME requirements are for every different level of medical professional, but I'm pretty sure that one event covers what you need to renew your license. That's huge. That is huge. You're in the room with industry professionals that are the movers and the shakers. You're in the room with people that are coming up with the protocols, that are developing the skincare. Aesthetic Next is actually where I met the Colorescience team 3 years ago now. So every year at Aesthetic Next is our anniversary. And I was sitting in a session next to the developers of my favorite skincare products. And we just got to talking, and that's how then our partnership started to grow. We were already carrying Colorescience products, but that's where the true partnership of getting to work with them on these different product developments and launches and research projects really came from. The passion projects for Katie and I both. Katie likes to be a little bit more behind the scenes, although now that she's made her debut, we might be getting her on stage a little bit more. But for me, I like to be able to share the knowledge and get the knowledge out there and help the industry grow, whereas Katie loves to do the research part of it. She loves to be in the treatment room, looking at the stats, looking at the ingredients, looking at how skincare or different treatments are affecting all 5 layers when it comes to, or all 5 planes. So injectors look at the 5 different planes when they're injecting. And I think it's really important as estheticians that we are considering what's happening in all 5 of those planes as well. And we are truly partnering with injectors. And this is where you can go and learn about what is going to benefit all 5 of those planes. You're sitting next to injectors that you can collaborate with. And I think that it's really important too for those solo injectors or those solo estheticians. In Katie and I's case, we work with 2 physicians and a nurse practitioner in our building. So if we want to deep dive into what things are doing, we have sounding boards that we can really deep dive into that for, but not everybody has that. So going to an event like this is where you can really thrive. So that was definitely huge. It's the Super Bowl. You gotta add it to your list for next year for sure. Okay. Let me check my notes here. What else? Oh my gosh, you guys, I got so many questions this week on how I managed to have so much content going out and creating all the content for BSA and everything. And here's my secret. I didn't. We hired somebody. We hired Lauren Taylor and Isabella from the Live-In agency to come in. And I think that for us, it's very important that we have kept our marketing in-house and very close to the vest so that it is truly us and we're staying authentic, especially if I'm going to go get up on a stage and talk about authenticity in social media. We've noticed that outsourcing our marketing can start to hit lines where it's blurred and it's not as personal anymore. But in this case, Lauren Taylor and Isabella know us so well. They do their research, they learn things, and they are truly the experts in how to take content like content from an event and turn it into somebody walking through your door in your practice. And that was so beneficial. It was great to have them help me with what our plan was going to be, what content we wanted to get. So we met and kind of strategized what we were going to do. I know I said that we had met on Tuesday before the event, but we met via Zoom the week before we got there to make sure that we had our shot list nice and cleaned up and kind of the vibes and everything. I shared what our branding was so that Isabella was able to make sure that everything looked nice and cohesive with the content that we already have on our feed and just make everything flow so seamlessly together. And it was so helpful because, like I mentioned, in between those 2 sessions, I had 20 minutes to change my clothes, record 2 reels, and get there. By the time that I got off the stage, we had a reel up. Isabella was recording me in my session and editing a reel live time to get it up live time. And that was huge, huge to lean into the momentum of the event. Like that was crucial. It was so worth the investment of outsourcing that. And then we have all those assets now that I can be using over the next couple of months, whether it be in B-roll, which is basically like those I'm not paying attention to it. Like this is just me living my daily life type like back end. You can change the lighting on it to be able to put words over top of it, like that kind of content. I have so much of that now. I have clips where we can be putting it onto YouTube and you guys can see what Katie and I were talking about or what I was talking about on my panels and things. And that being able to get all of those resources to be able to use those was so beneficial for us. So that answers that question for everyone. How did I manage the social media? I didn't. I had help this week. Okay. Next question that I got asked so much this past week. And when I say so much, it actually ended up twisting to, can you develop resources that we can all use to hone in on whether it is how to speak at events, how to do these brand collaborations, how to get the most out of events when you go to them, just all of it, like how I do what I do type thing. And I have some opinions, guys. I witnessed a lot of things in the past week that made me happy and sad at the exact same time. What makes me happy is that there are so many professionals coming together, and I felt like this year was even better than previous years when it came to the collaborative environments. There were estheticians sitting next to MDs and DOs on equal playing field of knowledge and being treated like the professionals and the knowledge holders that they are. And that was so incredible to see. But I also saw people that had the goal of speaking and maybe had their debuts on stage, and that was their only participation the entire weekend. They weren't doing any networking. They weren't learning from anybody else. They went in with an air about them of, because I'm a speaker now, I know everything. And they weren't in the rooms. They weren't in this other people's sessions cheering them on. They were walking around with an air about them that they were better than everybody else. And they were missing opportunities. When you go to these events, it is typically when you are on faculty in an event, they will give you admission to the event for free. And for Aesthetic Next, when you're faculty, you even have access to the workshops. And those workshops are paid workshops. That's a lot of money if you want to go to all of the different workshops. And you have access to all of those complimentary as a thank you for the hours that it takes to prep your slides, to practice, to do the research for your presentation. You know, the people that are presenting at these conferences aren't just presenting on things that they're talking about in the treatment room. These are industry leaders, and the people that are just presenting on things from the treatment room and aren't putting any effort into doing further research and expanding their knowledge and helping to expand the industry's knowledge, those people don't always get asked back to present again. But when you go, you get access to other educators and other ways of thinking. And I can tell you that this year at Aesthetic Next, there was not one brand new thing that I had never heard of before, because I spend a lot of time researching what's coming next. But what I did take away is how to actually implement it. I took away ways for us to refine what we're doing in practice that we may not have thought of previously, or we didn't have the experience that maybe somebody else has that was doing it for an extra year than us, that they were able to trial and error some things that we were able to learn from their mistakes and apply. Like, those were things that I was learning from being in these sessions. Those are the things that Katie was learning from being in sessions herself. And I saw a lot of professionals that came in and just took it as, no, I already know everything. And to me, that is so disappointing to see, because we always have something new to learn. And our industry changes so drastically fast. Take GLP-1s as an example. Earlier this year, one day you could openly be compounding GLP-1s and having them as an in-office option. And the very next day, that was no longer the case. And your business has to be able to pivot quickly. But as business owners or as business professionals, you want to be 2 steps ahead of that. You want to know what your plan is already. You want to be diversified outside of what your niche is. And that is something that I noticed this week that people weren't taking advantage of, is really taking advantage of every educational opportunity, taking advantage of sitting in the room with other professionals. Like I mentioned earlier on the pod, I was sitting in a session listening to another esthetician speak, and I was sitting right next to 2 of the vice presidents at Colorescience, as well as their lead scientist that is in the lab developing the products. And I was sitting directly next to them, became their friends, and have now partnered with them. If I was not sitting in that session thinking there's something I can learn from the esthetician that's on stage right now, I wouldn't have had any of the opportunities that I've had in the last 3 years when it comes to Colorescience. That opportunity came because I went into that session with the mindset of, I have something to learn. Whether I already know all this stuff or not, there's something that I can take away from this session. There is a connection that can be made here, and not in a selfish way of, I have something to gain and just like take, as much as it is I have something to gain that then can perpetuate our industry. And I think that should be all of our mindset. I get asked all the time how I do the things that I do. And I can tell you that it is because I am constantly learning. I am constantly talking to people and networking. I am constantly putting my ideas out there. I am not holding them for my own. Guys, I can't tell you how many of my ideas have been stolen because I don't gatekeep them. If I have an idea, I say it out there. And if somebody wants to take it and be selfish with that, or they want to take it and just do it themselves, whether it's selfish or not selfish, but they want to take it and not involve me, and I've said it, I'm going to have 10 more ideas. So go ahead and take that. I'm 2 steps ahead. And there are people in our industry that don't have unique ideas of their own. And there have to be people that can come up with the ideas. And then there have to be the implementers. So if I can be somebody that comes up with the ideas that help to further our industry and throw it out there and be in the room with these people that can make it happen, where maybe I don't have the skill set or the resources to be able to make that happen, that's a big deal. And I want to take advantage of that. And if I can be in the room with people that can give me the resources, that can help me realize how I can do it myself, I want to be in that room. And I think that you can all agree, you want to be in that room too. It's important. So when you go to these conferences, please don't go just hang out at the pool every single day and then show up for your session. Don't go walk around the exhibit hall with an air of you can't talk to me just because you want to be seen with a faculty sticker on your badge. Go in with the collaborative mindset of I have something to learn and I have people to meet that could change my life and I could change somebody else's. And I think closing thought on that of I could change somebody else's, I did not even realize the few people that I had an impact on last year in conversation until this year when I got to Aesthetic Next. But there were, I'm trying to think, I want to say that there were 3 people that presented this year as faculty for the very first time, and all separately, don't know each other. All 3 walked up to me, and I'm not saying this as like a bragging. I'm saying this as a you have the opportunity to do this as well. But 3 different people walked up to me and said, thank you for talking to me last year about how you did what you did and telling me not to say no to anything, to always say yes, to always give it a try, and to always think outside the box, because now I'm on faculty with you this year. And what a cool thing. It was humbling. Honestly, all 3 of those times I cried because I'm a crier anyways, but it was touching to hear that my words had impact on somebody. I think a lot of times we think that we are just talking to the wind, and sometimes we are, but sometimes those words land. And if you can be in the room and be that inspiration for somebody else that helps them do what you do, if you can be that person, and I feel this way about Tiffany Hall, if you can be that person that says, here's how I did it, now come alongside me and you can do it too. I feel the same way about Heather Goodchild from Colorescience and Alicia Merlot from Colorescience that have been such huge influence on my career thus far. All 3 of those women have the, here's how you do it, now come alongside me. And all 3 of those women have a, here's how you do it, now stand on my shoulders so that you can be better than me mindset. And that is the opportunity that each one of us has if we decide to step into that role. So all in all, plan to go to Aesthetic next year. Aesthetic Next is always the weekend after Labor Day. So next year, I should have pulled this up, guys. Pause. Okay, guys, next year, Aesthetic Next is going to be the 10th through the 13th. So mark your calendars right now. It's going to be September 10th through the 13th. Stay for Sunday if you can. Don't fly out early. My suggestion would be get there Wednesday night and stay through Sunday. Even if you leave midday on Sunday, I would stay until Sunday so that you don't miss anything on Saturday and you're able to truly be there for the entire show. There is so much value that comes on Thursday. I saw a lot of people this year that only were there for Friday and Saturday, or were only there on Friday and then left early on Saturday. And while that's amazing, they got so much benefit from even that short of a period of time. If you're already going to be there, invest in the whole weekend. Just be there the whole time. Colorescience usually has their Wear What Works event the day before. So that would be then September 9th, 2026. Plan on being there too. I will be there. As long as they have Wear What Works, I will be there. So that will be then. And then I saw Science of Skincare Summit next year is the 18th, 19th, and 20th. So it's that following weekend next year. So mark your calendars for that as well. I don't know. I might just stay in Texas that whole time. I'm trying to talk my parents into taking the RV so that we can just do it's like a 2.5 hour drive, 2 hour and 45 minute drive from Dallas to Austin. So we might just be staying where we go down for the week in Dallas and then we head down to Austin for the following weekend. And I just work from the road that whole time. But mark your calendars for both of those. Those are incredible resources of education. When you go to events, have the giver's mindset, but also have the learner's mindset. I think that's a big takeaway from this past weekend. Always be a learner and always be a giver. Don't be a gatekeeper. Share your knowledge because that's how our industry is going to grow. That's how our world is going to grow and be better. Share your light and share your knowledge. And hire somebody to help with your social media. I think that all in all, I think everybody's goal is to have their marketing in-house. But when you go to events like this, don't be afraid to outsource. Find the right company. And if you need some resources, let me know. I can connect you there. I'll drop some stuff in the show notes here, some links that you might want for this, links to Aesthetic Next, links to Science Skincare Summit, as well as the couple of podcasts that I mentioned too. I want to link those out because I think that those are great resources as well. And then Barrier Pro Serum Spray is officially live and available at Beyond Skin Aesthetics. So you can get those orders in now. We do ship. You can shop beyondskinaesthetics.com. And that is shop.beyondskinaesthetics.com. Again, I'll put it down in the show notes. And I hope to see y'all real soon. Have a great week.